Hey everyone, this is Rahul with the Alternative Investors Hangout, and today we have two of my favorite guests on. We have Silver Futurist, aka Joe, and we have Don from the DayTradeShow. Thanks for coming on, Don, and thanks for coming on, Joe.
You're welcome.
That's Silver Cobra, Rahul.
I'm sorry, or Chili D, right?
It doesn't matter. Silver Cobra or Chili D. I'll go with either one.
Yeah, that's what the Victory Report calls you, so I'll go with that.
Right.
Anyways, we were talking off air about a few topics that we would get into, and actually one of them was what Joe sent to me, and it was regarding why precious metals are so interesting. What attracts people to them, Joe?
You know, it's more than just an investment. It's like a movement. When I first got into, silver did my channel, I felt like I was changing the world, right? Money can be boring, but I wanted to become part of a movement. So I saw that movie just recently with the new Hunger Games, Catching Fire, about, the Hunger Games, right? And even though that movie's full of injustices and it makes you all riled up, it's exciting. And people have a purpose. They have a big purpose. It's exciting. They're going to change the world. There's purpose going on, right? So with silver, right? When I first got into silver, I was reading this stuff about, how silver, you can change the system. If everybody went back to hard money, we'd change the system. That's exciting. You're changing the world. You're doing more than just putting your money in digits in a bank. You're changing the world by changing the marketplace. You've got a political statement. That's exciting. You got a purpose suddenly. You get a whole bunch of silver investors together, and we have a purpose together as a group. We're changing the world. That's exciting. Right,
Don. What do you think about that?
I was swept away in the excitement.
I mean, that's the whole. It's romantic, not as in like Boy Meets School, but romance as in a story. It's an epic tale.
Well, anytime something is pulling on, those sorts of heartstrings, that's exactly what I don't want to be involved in unless I'm selling it to you. And if my business is selling you something that I've hyped a story behind, then I love it. That's a great story. I'm glad you tell it. I hope you'll tell more people. But the real smart investors I know, they don't buy into any of that. They refer to that as bullshit.
But Don, we're changing the world. We're the Silver Liberation Army. But that's been replaced by the crypto army. So the BitCoin people are the crypto army.
Yeah. You realize that Bitcoin is already over 800 tonight?
You said.
It's changing the world. It's changing the world. You're part of a movement.
It's the bane of the bankers. Remember, bankers hate this just like they hate silver.
Right. So,
I mean, Joe's exactly right. I mean, I'm being sarcastic in a way, but Joe's exactly right. The reason why people were stacking was a lot of them were sold a story, but deep in their hearts, the story was what they used to justify buying, but in their hearts, they wanted a lottery ticket. That's really what they wanted.
But it's great. It's one package. You've got the lottery ticket. You're changing the world. You're part of a movement. You've got your own secret handshake, right? When you're stacking, it's like you get the secret handshake, and you and other stackers have this handshake, and the public doesn't. It's exclusive.
Yeah, well, it's a neat handshake. You can have one hand to shake one stacker, another hand to shake another stacker's hands. So if you're all in a circle, shake each other's hands, the retailers have their hands in your pockets, and they're shaking something else, and that's exactly what happened. All these stackers were shaking hands, and the retailers were shaking them down. And I just wonder if people have really figured out just how much money these retailers made. I don't think people really are prepared for how much money got put in the hands of the retailers in 2011 and 12, and then earlier in 2013.
I don't think they're doing well right now, though.
Well,
from what I've heard.
Well, they're not doing well right now, and that's why they're coming out with all their collector stuff.
I would love to see numbers. If someone had numbers to show, that would be.
I have numbers.
Yes.
Okay, check this out. If you use SLV, and you look at the volume in terms of real dollars. Now, I know that SLV is not one-to-one with what is sold in the retail world, but SLV it's supposed to have how many ounces behind it, Rahul? Do you know how many ounces are supposedly backing SLV?
0. It's funny paper, fake silver. No, just kidding.
I don't follow the SLV, so I don't know.
Let's say it's 100 million ounces. I don't know what it is. It's irrelevant. It's a big number. It's 100 million. In 2011, and this number is staggering. If you take the amount of shares purchased of SLV the month of the highs in 2011, and then you take the amount of shares purchased in the last month, now in 2013, and then you take the amount of money per share spent, the actual capital put to work is down from $112 billion in 1 month to $2 billion in the last month. It is a free fall of 98%, a crushing, a disastrous free fall. The enthusiasm isn't there. The money has dried up. I mean, it's not an exact number because you can't say it's exactly the same as what retailers are doing. But I personally know retailers going out of business. Personally know 2 retailers who have closed their doors now because the interest isn't there.
Now,
So is that why you see all this? Go ahead, Joe.
They closed their doors, but over a period of several years, they made a killing. So yes, they closed their doors not because they're personally bankrupt. They closed their doors because it's no longer profitable, but they still got their huge stack of fiat from a couple years ago, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, in the case of one of the folks that I'm talking about, he had a store in a mall, and he told me exactly what you just said, Joe. He said, listen, it's just not profitable for me. I made a lot of money. It's just not profitable right now. Maybe I'll be back when it's profitable again. I mean, that's the secret here. When you talk to these retailers, like not on the record, dude, they don't give a shit about none of these stories about bankers and stuff. I'm literally, Joe, you know, tell the people I'm not making this up. I know you've talked to retailers who have told you that's all hokum.
Yeah, they don't believe a lot of the stuff they're saying.
They don't believe this stuff. It's total nonsense, and they use it to sell, but they don't believe this stuff.
So here's, speaking of retailers and stroke of genius. So I'm not going to give away spoilers, but in the movie Catching Fire, right, the heroes all wear a gold bangle, right? Who is selling gold bangles right now?
Mike Maloney.
The same exact word. He must have seen the script ahead of time. Gold bangles. The heroes in Hunger Games wearing it, and he's selling it.
Well, and Maloney's main page talked about jewelry, bangle, bullion. I've never seen jewelry and bangle and bullion in the same phrase.
He's actually a visionary. I mean, you have to give him credit. He is a visionary. He was one of the first retailers in, and you know he did really well. And his book was a big success. He had a big success in the movies he makes. He makes all these little videos that are very entertaining. But what happened is over a period of time, he's changing his message because the price action moved against his original message. So he's changing the message. But what happens is the people who've been following him for a while, the ones who are scrutinizing, are saying, wait a second. He was the guy who said to only buy the most recognizable bullion like Maples and Eagles and never buy generic silver, and now he's selling generic silver. That's against the original message. And also, he says stay away from numismatics, and now he's selling collectors Pegasus with numismatic value attached to them.
But see, Joe, you and I talked about him early on. I told you early on in our very first conversations about him, I said very succinctly, and I'm being kind here, I said he is a salesman. I said, and I told you then what is proven to be true now. The story is, as long as the story is selling something, it's a great story. And once that story is not selling it, then there's got to be some other story. And the story right now is numismatic value. And it's ironic. I mean, you guys, came to me to sort of talk about this topic. I just uploaded a video to my channel called "Collect the Smack," which is all about this phenomenon of the silver stacker now a numismatic expert. You know, all these silver stackers, they're collecting because they're going to flip it. And the America the Beautiful is the round right now everyone's talking about. And I don't think it's a surprise. The marketing campaign is probably, they've got some money, there's probably some YouTubers whose job it is to promote it to their channel.
Actually,
the same.
Yeah, like Raw Dog was talking about how he made money buying some of those semi-numismatic silver coins like a while back or something.
he did.
Okay.
So he got into it earlier too. But that was the whole Mike's message was stay away from numismatics. That was his original message. And
that was Chris Twain's message. That was Chris Twain's message too. Chris Twain and Mike Maloney built their audiences on the idea that you wanted to stay away from all that because after the apocalypse, premiums wouldn't matter.
Yes,
silver would just be silver.
All it matters is value.
So you wanted more ounces, and whoever's face on it was irrelevant. As long as it was stamped .9995, and it was in a round or a bar, that was good enough. Of course, when that gets hammered 60%, not so good. And you got to have some other reason to justify. And by the way, I'm going to give y'all a newsflash, Rahul. You're going to hear it here first. This January 2014, I'm not kidding, January of 2014, the mint is going to run out of Eagles again.
We're going to see stories of silver shortages, right?
Yes, the maples are going to be running dry. That's right. Maples are going to be running out, and the Eagles will be running out, and that's within about a month and a half. So you better stock up now.
Oh man, yeah, you could see the writing on the wall. But people were talking about collector items. I mean, this is what the sales pitch is now. And I talked to this one guy who worked for a bullion industry. I'm not going to mention his name, and he told me this. I don't know if you found this out too, but a lot of these bullion companies, they try to market to guys who are money laundering or involved in that because they take these collector items and for whatever sophisticated reason, they're able to take this overseas without, number one, getting caught. I can't confirm this, but have you two have any of you two heard of this?
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
It makes logical sense because it's got a value that you can't really declare.
Well, see, look, here's the thing. I have nothing against collecting. I have nothing against investing or flipping or whatever. I mean, if you can find someone else to pay you more for what you paid for, that's great. But here's what I don't understand. How is something so spectacular of an investment when I can tonight find a dozen YouTube videos on it with hundreds of comments, and it's the most requested question I've gotten for the last month, and it's continually, by the way, promoted at all the major bullion sites. How is that? I mean, if this is, why are the bullion dealers selling it themselves? Why are they just hoarding it? I mean, if it's a guaranteed triple, if I'm a bullion dealer, why don't I get my allotment, store it away for a year, and bring it out a year later when people will be, foaming at the mouth for it? The dealers don't believe this. The dealers don't believe it.
Of course not. That's why Mike's able to offer the lowest premium ever on his Pegasus. The lowest premium ever means it's not hard to get the silver.
Well, it's funny you mention that point, Joe, because one of the things that I would think would be a tell on the industry would be when prices get another ass-kicking, but premiums also drop. You know what I'm saying? Like last time prices came down, we were told about shortages. Next time, if we get a $3 or $4 plunge, we're not seeing premium spike. That won't happen. The dealers will have to liquidate.
I will say something. You're remarking on the fact that silver's $20 right now, and silver SLV had a 98% reduction in volume. That's pretty amazing for the value holding up that well.
98% reduction, not just in the volume, but in the dollars put to work. For example, let's just say, and I'm actually doing a video on this later. I'll flesh it out in detail. But let's just say that in 2011, someone spent $10,000 on SLV. Now it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what their story was. They just put $10,000 at work. Well, it'd be like them today, $30 lower, spending only $200 on SLV. In other words, they loved it at 40, they can't stand it at 20, and that has to go from apathy. And I'm just giving you my opinion here, but you really want to see a bottom. I think you've got to see apathy turn into a volume spike where they say, "Screw this, I'm getting out." In other words, they've got to make the same dumb decision except on the flip side.
So, mathematically speaking, if you've done any numbers, what price do you think that will bring us at?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't. If I had a crystal ball, I'd say if I had to guess, I would say the real washout. Say about 16, 15, 16, somewhere there.
Okay, and of course, the thing about anything is tomorrow this video could be obsolete. There could be a new purpose for silver that sends it skyrocketing. There could be some discovery. There could be some use. There could be some plan for silver that some central bank is using that could change things. But I mean, we're talking about the current conditions.
Well, there is a thing. Well, hold on. There is a reason to own silver. Well, let me tell you what the reason is. To beat inflation, stave off werewolves and vampires. No, hold on. I'm serious. Be the Achilles heel of the bankster, crash banks, buy houses, but not at any price. All those are true things. You want to aspire to all of that, but you don't do those things by paying any price for something to someone with a silk tie, $100,000 sports car explaining to you why price doesn't matter. That's idiocy. If you want to beat the banksters, load the ass up. Not at 40, not at 30, not at 50, not even at 25, but at 20 or lower. That's how you beat the banksters. You beat the banksters by buying low, not buying high.
You realize that this would probably be a better spot to get in, but now everyone's going into Bitcoins, where now Bitcoins has gone all the way to $800, and now I saw even on like the Business Insider, a mainstream website, they're talking about Litecoins or something like that, which has the second largest market capitalization next to Bitcoins in the crypto market. So isn't that quite interesting that you see all this talk about Bitcoins while silver looks more attractive at 20, but everyone's calling it dead right now?
Yeah, it's amazing because silver is no less more useful at 20, and it's a better price. And I like silver more now than I did in the past. I mean, the last year because of the price is getting better. But it seems like the buzz has gone away. The buzz has gone into Bitcoin. That's where the buzz is.
Yeah, it's funny because I do these reports that people can buy and pay me anywhere from $2 to $7 of worthless fiat for. And the report that I just did was called Buy Alert for silver. I mean, I've not been this bullish about silver, well, in the last 3 years. In fact, since the middle of 2009. So it is funny to see people now, the hard money keep on stacking it crowd, are jumping onto Bitcoins. I don't know where the top is on any of these supposed cryptocurrencies. Philosophically, it's another discussion. But I do think it is pretty funny how the keep on stacking it hard money folks are now all about silverdoctors.com. You cannot make this up. Silverdoctors.com had an article, I guess it was last week or so, about extolling the 30 reasons.
Bitcoins to $1 million or something? Was that the article?
Bitcoins to $1 million or something like that, yeah. Silver Doctors, of course. Maybe I was reading it incorrectly. I was all drunk because I was hopped up on the colloidal silver I bought last week. So maybe I was seeing things.
So I've got a Bitcoin anecdote. So I was talking to a neighbor, and Bitcoins came up, and she goes, my husband is doing something with him on the PC. He's got the computer running to get Bitcoins. I don't understand it. I said, your husband's a Bitcoin miner. She's like, what's that? I'm like, wow. Is this one of these anecdotes about when the neighbor starts talking about Bitcoin? I don't know, but he's mining them. He's got his computer and he's mining them. I told her, do you realize what Bitcoins is used for? I said, you're facilitating drug dealers. I was being joking, but she's like, really? What are Bitcoins? And that's kind of funny.
Here's the thing about Bitcoins. I mean, literally, if you go, and I would want the people listening to your video right now, Rahul, to do this. Go to archive.org. Go to archive.org. Now, when you get there, search for mtgox.com. Look what it was in 2007. Look what it was in 2009. And just, again, realize that it is not figurative. It is not coincidence. It is not irony. It is fact. The people behind Bitcoins really were the kind of people who were trading World of Warcraft money on eBay. This is not hyperbole. This is not sarcasm or a joke. Go look at what that site was before it was a Bitcoin site, before it was, as they call it, Mt. Gox. You know why they don't call it Magic the Gathering Online Exchange? Because it's called Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. No one would want to say that. But that's where this thing began. In 2007, it was Magic the Gathering. 2009, it was an online war game, Dungeons and Dragons type deal. And literally, people are trading money and energy for fake, non-existent vapor. And I have to tell you both, without discussing whether or not there's a utility for that type of deal, it is surreal to see Silver Stacker talk about that as gold 2.0. I shit you not. Have you guys seen these articles, gold 2.0?
I saw that article. I will say this about the price action. A lot of people in the hard money group who held their ground did not get into Bitcoins, and they, quote, missed out on the huge move.
But we're talking about something different here, Joe. I'm not saying, I have said since day one about, in fact, when Bitcoins were at $1 in 2011, I had told people at 30 and 20 and 10, this thing is going to get hammered. At 1, I said, I'm not buying any. But if you were to buy some, here's your chance. Now, the reason I didn't buy any is I didn't want to go to federal prison. Excuse me. You know, I saw the Bernard von Nothaus example and figured maybe going to federal prison wouldn't be what I'd want to do.
Can you enlighten the listeners on this Edward von Neuhaus?
Oh, the von Nothaus is the guy behind the Liberty Dollar.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And he got, sent up the river for some stuff that was, you could argue whether he was breaking the law or not, but that's for the court system to figure out. But what I'm saying is that,
sorry to interrupt, Don, but when I type in Mt. Gox on, like, the search engine on archive.org, I'm only getting 3 searches, so... Like
empty Gox, you're putting empty Gox, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go to archive.org,
Yeah.
archive.org, and you type in mtgox.com.
Okay, .com. Okay.
So while you type that in, I have an observation to make. When silver had its meteoric rise from 5 to 50, and now it's 20, between 30 and 50, who are the ones who are making the profits selling it?
What do you mean?
Okay, so we saw in the market, like the last 15 years, silver go from 5 to 50, and now it's 20. When it was sky high, like in the 40 and 50, who are the ones who realized those gains? It was a small group, right, of realized those gains. Mostly people who hold silver did not realize those gains, correct?
Oh, the retailers made money, but there was no selling in mass by the little guy to other little guys.
Right. So essentially, like for the silver that I have right now, right? I got to watch it go to 50, and now it's 20, and I was an observer, but not a participator in that price movement, right?
Right.
So with Bitcoin, I wonder how many people in the Bitcoin market are going to actually get to realize those sky-high gains, right?
None. Okay, by statistical, not many. Now, there will be some that are made millionaires or even billionaires. There's probably multi-millionaires out there right now because of Bitcoin.
Right, but as long as it stays where it's at. I don't know where it's going, but if it goes back to 1, those were all paper millionaires who never realized any of it.
Well,
somebody has to because someone's selling it, right? But
the thing about Bitcoins is that unlike gold and silver, because there's no intrinsic value, it's theoretically possible that your counterparty could be nobody. I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Oh, so if Bitcoin went to 0, it could be every single person who holds it becomes a bag holder. With silver, you could never have a bag holder because it has a real utility, so it's got a floor.
That's right. Silver, ironically, silver. Now listen, this is a mind trip. Silver could be a paperweight at the very least. Okay, with fiat dollars, if you have enough of them, you could wallpaper your house, wipe your ass, or burn them in your stove for heat if it gets cold and you don't have enough. If it takes too much money to pay your gas bill. But with Bitcoins, you literally have nothing. It is money heaven. You put your money into Bitcoins, and you're literally buying simply the idea. All you're buying is the idea that somebody will give you more worthless fiat somewhere down the road. It is the definition of the next greater fool.
So you've heard of the Winklevoss twins, right?
The guys from Facebook.
When I first heard the name Winklevoss, I thought that was a joke. I did not believe that was their real name.
I saw the movie The Social Network about Facebook, and the Winklevoss twins were originally students with the founder, and they sued him because they said that he stole the Facebook idea, and they're supposed to have a project with the Harvard or something like that, and he paid them millions off. So they were their father was a big hedge fund manager, and this is a true story. During that time, the Winklevoss twins went to the president of Harvard, who was Larry Summers at the time, and they wanted him to intervene with the whole Facebook thing. So here we have the former bankster king at Harvard, and the Winklevoss twins are going to the former king of banksters, right? And so now these Winklevoss twins, just before it took off, they got into Bitcoin. This hedge fund got into Bitcoin. So
well, now remember for historical precedent, the price of silver went nowhere after the big move in the late 70s, early 80s. Silver went nowhere until the mid 2000s, and it was concurrent with the ETFs. Now, if you look at the history of the ETFs, those ETFs were backed by and created by big banks. SLV, the custodian of SLV, J.P. Morgan.
They love silver. They love it.
They love it, and so. The banksters love all of these vehicles. If there's something out there where the little guy can put something of his time and energy into that he has no control over, that someone with more money and more resources can tap into and manipulate and control, the bankers love that. I don't care if it's silver. I don't care if it's Bitcoins. I don't care if it's the U.S. dollar. They love all those vehicles, which is, to me, what's funny about Bitcoins. Now, look, Bitcoins, there are people who have been made millionaires with it. There are going to be more people made millionaires. And there is a whole industry now, cryptocurrency, that the Fed, the DOJ, the FBI, and the SEC have all given, I guess, the green light to, I guess, based on the Senate hearings. So if cryptocurrencies are here, which I'm going to pat myself on the back for saying these things were not going away, there's your model. Look for more of this stuff. Joe, we missed Bitcoins. However, there's probably going to be another one, right? Someone will come up with some other new cryptocurrency, and we'll roll the dice on that one. Of course, just my luck, that'll be the sign on the top. So if you see me diving in, you'll know I've gotten in the wrong time.
The thing is, though, I was telling you about Business Insider talking about Litecoin, which has the second largest market capitalization. So people are saying, hey, Bitcoin is the equivalent of gold, and then silver is the equivalent of, or Litecoin is the equivalent of silver. So when you start to see that, and then I also was overhearing on the train downtown that some people were talking about Bitcoin. I joined in the conversation, and I'm getting emails from some family members about Bitcoin. So I'm not saying that this is the top. I'm just saying that this is starting to get, not out of hand, but it just seems out of control at this moment, especially when Max Kaiser... Go ahead.
Well, what I was saying, on the Litecoin thing, you know, I just uploaded this video, Collect the Smack, earlier. I swear to you, I've got 3 comments so far in the last minute or so. Comment number 2, Bitcoin went to the moon, silver did not. That's about it. Silver Stacker chose poorly. Next comment. What are your thoughts on Litecoin? I swear, Bitcoin and Litecoin, digital gold and silver of the future? Quote, sacred numbers? Are Bitcoins a commodity since it's created with energy, a store of energy? Fiat energy? Dude, are you shitting me? See, I'm just telling
you. This is the political movement I'm talking about. This is exciting stuff. A purpose in life. You're a revolutionary. You've got a product. You've got a form of wealth that's never even been dreamed of in history.
Yeah.
Okay. Idea of Bitcoin's big money in the human innovation of history. This is a new thing.
Let me tell you something, guys. I am not making this up. I am completely serious with what I'm really telling you. We are going to see in our lifetime a money that is created by gamers playing video games and earning money playing video games that in some way, shape, or form they can sit around and play actual video games on their networked Xboxes and PS5s or 15s or whatever it's going to be, and you'll be mining away all day long for some sort of coins, and part of what you do during the day will be to create currency. In fact, maybe they'll put you'll create money by walking through turnstiles at the subway, or walking up and down stairs. Your energy will be transferred into some money somehow. I'm serious. I mean, this whole crypto thing is not going away, and they're going to find every possible way they can to make phony bullshit money. And the bankers, if the bankers aren't behind Bitcoin, they love this. Dude, can you imagine J.P. Morgan going, "No, wait, we can now print our own money for real, for shizzle"? And
just imagine the leverage ETFs that come out of it.
That's right.
Like like ProShares double leveraged Litecoin or Bitcoin.
Or the Litecoin to Bitcoin cross. You know, that's. I'm telling you.
Iron Condor. What is it called? The Iron Condor? I don't know.
I mean, if anybody listens to me and they think that I'm telling you can't make money with this, you're not listening. I'm not one. In fact, I defy anybody to find a video I did at all where I said we've seen the top for any of these things. The last video I did with Panama Orange at 300, I said that wasn't the top. And at 700, I did say at 750 or 730 I liked it short, and my target was 400. It got to 450. That ain't bad. But
and then it went back up.
And then it went well, excuse me. If you can't take $300 off the table, I can't help you. I can't. But whether we've seen the top or not, I don't know, man. We are in a new world where people have now moved away from hard to soft, and the game is on.
It's abstract. It doesn't get any more abstract than this.
I don't know what stops people from making their own money now. Why can't we come out with silver Futurist bucks or Rahul round or something?
The whole story behind it. The Satoshi story is so cool. It's beyond cool. We need a cool story. And
you think that's cool? What's cool about that? You think it's cool that someone outside the U.S. has created a quote money that literally is not money? It's people putting their money into a vessel that they've got to find someone else to give them more money for, and the inefficiencies of the system mean that you're going to spend more time and energy to create it than it's worth. That's cool? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that's why you weren't an early adopter, because you didn't just get it. You didn't get it. If that clicked with you, that clicked with you, the sooner you got it.
You're right. I didn't get it. You're right. Okay. It is. I stand corrected. It's cool.
So we need to find what's the next thing, right? The Bitcoins, took off. There's going to be something out there that's very unique. Technology advances. All things change. There's going to be some new way.
I've already got it.
What is it?
I talked with Raw Dog the other day, and I told him he needs to come out with a Raw Dog buck or something.
No. This is a new arena. This is where we're looking at the past, right? There's something new out there that's going to come up, and we're going to say this is so dumb, and it's going to go to 1,000. And we're like, oh, we missed out again.
You don't think the Raw Dog dollar would sell? You don't think we could promote that? I'm not joking. I told Raw Dog the other day straight up. I said, put your face on a round bar or something, copper, silver, gold. I don't care. And you'll blow right through them.
Yeah, but it has to be redeemable for something, right? He has to be able to go to his house.
It could be called a slave tard.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. The tard dollar. It's good.
All right. So yeah. How long is this going for? 40 minutes or so, right? We got a good.
We got 33 minutes. We could continue if you want.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that we don't we don't go over on the length or time or something.
No, let's go.
Yeah. So on my video, I just did a video, and there are people who are now they're boasting. This guy goes, I sold my 15K investment in gold and silver a year ago and put it Bitcoins. Now I'm almost a millionaire. Suck on that, you monkeys. Why don't you go buy more gold and silver? Listening to your metal messiahs like Schiff and Maloney have made you so much. Lol. Here come the Bitcoin trolls. This is interesting. Here's another one. I got another one. There's another one here. Saying the same. They're bragging. They're starting to brag now.
Yeah. Well, they should.
So this is like 2011 again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, boasting is a bad sign. Like.
Well, but hold on. I mean, to be fair about this, I mean, if some of these folks are made millionaires out of it, I don't think that's the same as the little guy boasting. Because if they're a millionaire, I would think that they rolled their dice, they made their money. So there you have it. I tip my hat. If someone was willing to put maybe a potential stay in federal prison on the line to load up on Bitcoins, great. That's fantastic. I'm happy for them. I also know there's 1,000 penny stocks that you could get into. There's probably someone that will make $1 million on a penny stock this year. Okay. I know people that made money on Apple. I never got on board Apple either. I'm an idiot for that,
So here's my concern about Bitcoin, right? If they go up in price because they're being used, there's two things going on. There's Bitcoin speculation and there's Bitcoins being used. For example, when people use Bitcoins to buy alpaca sacks, the money vector from that is from transactions, not from speculation. I wonder how much of this Bitcoin value came from speculation as far as utility, because people are using Bitcoins for currency.
Well, hold on. Again, you're talking there's two different conversations here. Bitcoins are not money. Bitcoins are, they're a construct.
Right.
Where people have said, here's what Bitcoin. Imagine you've got a basket, and you put so many of your dollars in that basket, and you can find someone else to give you whatever you put in that basket plus another dollar. I mean, that's a Bitcoin. It is not that the basket is not the money. Like with the U.S. dollar, it's the money. With gold and silver, it is intrinsically the money. With Bitcoins, it's like a stock. It's like a vessel you put something into that you hope someone will give you more for. That's not money.
Right. So semantic aside, what I'm talking about is the price of Bitcoins, right? There is two aspects. One is pure speculation, people buying them and holding on to them. The other one is they're being used. They're being used in transactions. Like some people are buying stuff with Bitcoins, correct?
Well, yeah.
So I want to know what percent of the market of Bitcoin is due to transactions, right? Using it as a currency. And what percent is due to rapid speculation?
Okay. I think a better way to look at it, that's something that's not very quantifiable at the moment, certainly not in ways that I would trust. I think you have to ask yourself, how many people have sent you a message that said, in your face, Joe, I just bought a new car with my Bitcoins. And Rahul, if someone come to you and said, man, you're an idiot. I went and paid for my groceries with 0.3 Bitcoins. Has anyone come to me? No, they've all come to us and said, you guys are idiots for not making money on Bitcoins. I've heard nobody, not one person, extol the virtues of this as a utility, which is fine. People are rolling the dice on it, and I know people will comment now and go, but I bought some Camel Toe smoothies with mine, and I bought some hemp sweaters with mine. I mean, okay, fine, I got you. Now, you let me know when Amazon connects with them. Let me know.
The thing is that with Bitcoin, I've noticed that Kaiser was behind a lot of this pumping. I mean, he went on BBC, it must have been a month ago, when it was $200, and I saw this on his website, and once he went on BBC, talked about Bitcoins, it just shot up through the moon. And you have to remember...
called me, by the way. You called me like a day after he was on BBC and told me that. Just full disclosure, you this is not something after the fact you're telling me. I mean, you told me this when it happened, and you were right. Bitcoin shot up right after that.
Right, and then if you remember 2011, he was like, buy silver, crash JP Morgan, and we saw it go up like, I don't know, it was in the 20s at that time frame, and it went all the way to 50 from there. So if Kaiser's behind this, even though Kaiser was buying it at the beginning, so you have to give him props for that, but if he's going on Alex Jones' show, or if he's going on the BBC propping this up, I mean, this thing is going to pop like crazy.
Well, Matt Kaiser is a marketing genius. There's no doubt about that. I mean this with no sarcasm. I mean, the guy has used social media. He's used it now. He doesn't have a home base in the U.S. But from over in Europe, he's done an absolute masterful job with social media. And I'll also say, if he was buying Bitcoin early enough, and if he bought enough of it, he's obviously a multimillionaire out of it. So, I mean, you have to say marketing savvy and timing and use of your social networking skills, maybe the Steve Jobs of this industry.
He's also personable too. I met him twice. In both times, he was very patient with everybody. He never got mad at anybody. He showed everybody respect in the thing. So he has the personal touch too when he goes and speaks. gets along with everybody. You know, we're in a restaurant. He talked to everybody, so he's got that kind of personal touch too. On top of it, there's some people like Lebed, like a lot of people didn't like him. He didn't have that personal touch. He did this NIA stuff, right? And he would rub people the wrong way, and he couldn't recover from it. Like he couldn't, or he didn't care to. But like,
well, one thing I want to add about Kaiser though is throughout all of this, there is a distinction that needs to be made though between the personality and the idea that you can make money with Bitcoins and Bitcoin as a utility as money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will tell you that, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway stock is not money, but if you bought it cheaply enough, you could sell it for money.
Right.
And Bitcoin is the same way. And Warren Buffett, another cult of personality kind of guy, I just there's a distinction that's got to be made between what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin does.
Right. Exactly. Two different things.
One thing I'd be concerned about with Bitcoins is since you don't know where the top is, and mathematically, like what stops a bank from sitting on the buy side on these exchanges and buying everything up in sight, and then what stops a bank from putting 1,000 servers online and cranking out Bitcoins themselves and ultimately controlling the market? What stops a bank from doing that and saying, okay, Bitcoins are gone, we bought them all, and now we've got these new JP Morgan dollars? I mean, what stops JP Morgan, in short, from manipulating Bitcoins the way they manipulated silver?
Well, that's one thing, too, is that because Bitcoins are bought with fiat, and the Federal Reserve controls the fiat.
Hey, exactly.
They can get all the Bitcoins they want. If they want Bitcoins, they can what's it called, just create dollars and take the Bitcoins.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if JP Morgan wanted every Bitcoin available, they could literally buy and buy and buy and buy, and they could just print and print and print, and then finally JP Morgan owns all the Bitcoins, and then what? So now, and it didn't cost them a penny. It was all fake. Now watch this. Let me blow your mind with this. So that money JP Morgan was given from the Fed, created out of nothing. They've got the best of both worlds. They've got the Bitcoins, which supposedly are going to change the world. They control that currency, and they spent nothing for it. Now, how magical is that? So what stops any of these banks from doing that? In a finite money system like Bitcoins are supposed to be, what stops a bank from doing that? And how is that any better than controlling any market? I just...
Well, I guess the thing is they would have, for Bitcoins, you would have to they would have to have a rule. You cannot buy Bitcoins with dollars.
No. We can't have a rule now, Joe. This is the Wild West, baby. Free market. Stop making...
So, Don, does that mean that you're going to see all these videos about Blight Masters and Bitcoin now?
Rahul,
down the road?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that up because we're kind of joking about this. But the truth is, every time Bitcoin has gotten smacked down, I've been waiting for the bankster story, and at some point, I think you're gonna hear that. I don't know when it begins, but now that banks are on record as saying vis-a-vis the Federal Reserve, hey, this is a legitimate financial. Let me put it this way: I find it surreal that all of the anti-bank folks are now in bed with the Fed, who says this is a legitimate instrument. Wow, I mean. If Ben Bernanke had said that about silver Stacker would have had a coronary. I mean, the entire appeal of silver was it was the bane of the banker.
Wait, here's what might have happened. They might have said, "Oh, Ben Bernanke is hinting at a new silver standard, and we have $500 silver." They changed the story.
Okay. Well, I can't keep track of the stories, but Rahul, to your point, wondering when they're going to come out and start blaming banksters, I think it's just a matter of time. I don't know. I don't know what the move will be or how, but there'll be a manipulation story somewhere.
Hey, Joe, don't you think it's kind of interesting that I actually talked to you about this one time where Max Kaiser, he goes bashing libertarians all the time, and Max Kaiser is the so-called head of silver and Bitcoins in the alternative media. He's the one propping it up, and you have all these guys who are libertarian-minded going into gold and silver because of Kaiser. Don't you find that kind of ironic?
At first I thought it was very ironic with the thing about price and ideology. But what happens is people's ideology will bend to justify their gains. If you're making money on something, all of a sudden you'll discover how flexible your ideology is.
By the way, that's something that it's not just a phenomenon with Silver Stacker. Like in your own personal life, there's that saying, blood is thicker than water. What that phrase really means is you've got more to gain or more to lose with this relationship than this relationship over here. And for most people, familial relationships is where the most to lose or the gain is. And I think that anybody in their own sphere of influence, if someone was attacking you or your family or your business interests, rightly or wrongly, you would defend it. And so a lot of the retailers, I don't think they're really acting inordinately with the way most people would act. And in fact, they're not even acting differently the way bankers would act. How many people listening right now, if you were offered the ability to print money, any amount that you wanted, and you'd have zero culpability with what it did to the economy, the might of the U.S. government and the laws and the military would be around you. You'd have your own police force. You'd have your own infrastructure where other banks would have to take money that you printed and pay you interest just for the fact that you gave them that money that was printed that you didn't even own in the first place. Your kids, your grandkids, generations after you would never want for anything, and you had enough money and influence to buy whatever you needed anywhere around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How many people would turn that down? I mean, come on. The idea that bankers are doing anything which everyone else wouldn't do is ludicrous.
Yes, but what they would do, Don, is they would create an ideology to justify it. They create an ideology to justify it.
At a certain point, though, I don't think you need that. At a certain point, you can just give the finger to the public like these bankers have and say, I don't care what you think. Have you guys seen the Young Turks?
I used to watch that show a lot. I haven't seen it in a while, though.
Well, what's his name? Jank? Is that his name? His name is
something like
Jank.
that.
I think it's Jank, but Jank, he was talking, and you guys should go search for this. He was talking about look for Peter Schiff and Young Turks.
Oh, I saw that one.
Oh, yeah, where he interrupted him all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he makes a point there that he plays all these quotes from bankers, basically giving the finger to Americans and going, yeah, we're the 1%, so what? I just think that Joe, I don't think you need an ideology at a certain point. At a certain point, the ideology is you're the one with the most money, and everybody else can suck it.
I guess right. At a certain point, all of a sudden, you just say, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Rahul, there's the name of the video right there. Just, I have all the money. Suck it.
On that note, I'll probably end this podcast now. But before I let you two go, Joe, how could people follow your work again?
I'm at Silver Futurist. I haven't done a lot of videos lately. I've been kind of demoralized, I guess, by many things going on with many things. But, yeah, I'm on YouTube.
And Silver Cobra, a.k.a. Chili D, where you're at.
www.don't-tread. Oh.
You're Chris Duane? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my alter ego. Don't-tread on .me.
All right. Thanks for coming on, guys.
You're welcome.